Welcome everyone to another Friday market update. We are at the end of January. Every Friday at 12 o'clock Pacific time, I go over several things. What are some of the national headline articles that you should be aware of? What are some of the things that are happening in the local market? And also a little update related on my end, like some of the activity that has been going on me personally. It's been an incredible January. I think it may be one of the most closings that I've done since I've been in business. I have in contract of 6 properties in January. Super amazing, super fortunate. It's all over the Bay Area. Just got it most recently in Danville. Congratulations to that wonderful couple and actually wonderful family. And just all over, whether it's Daly City, South Bay, East Bay, Contra Costa County, a little bit of everywhere. So there's a lot of congratulations to go around, and they should all be closing sometime in February. But let's jump into the news. The biggest headline article that I would say of this week is related to a couple of sale of properties, and it's going to be interesting to see who actually will be buying these properties. So the very first one is Oracle. Oracle has a massive campus at the Redwood Shores area. You may see it. It's very iconic, lots of glass buildings. However, they are selling some of their space that's across the street from them, which are, as you can see from the picture, not nearly the same type. You can see in the backdrop like what the Oracle actually kind of towers look like. These are just kind of more almost cookie cutter type of towers, buildings. So they are planning to sell, and they have offered to sell this space. It will be interesting to see which company may want to buy this space. I'm not sure who it may be. My guess, though, is it's probably going to be maybe some life science company. That's my initial guess, because it's a very prime location, very interesting area. So something to be mindful of. It is now up for sale. Oracle-owned Bay Area campus that could become life science space. What are some other news? Another one, NetApp, a huge campus in Sunnyvale, goes on sale. This particular location is off of Crossman. For those that are familiar with this is not the one, because I believe they also had space. Actually, no, NetApp has actually been consolidating space for a while. So for some of you that know, NetApp has had a place near downtown Sunnyvale, and like that place is now, I think Apple took over the lease. Or took over the space. So now they will be selling 4 buildings, part of their headquarter campus in Sunnyvale. But it's been going on for some time. There's about 702,000 square feet of space. So there could be a lot of potential candidates for this. Sunnyvale is still a very big location for a lot of the tech giants. So I would not be surprised if either Apple wants to make a move for this. It could be Google as well. Google is still very buying a lot of prime real estate. So it will be interesting to see who actually takes on this space too. But NetApp is also selling their space. So this always leads us to the question that people always ask, okay, all these companies are moving away from the Bay Area, or they're selling space. I want you to hear what some pretty prominent VCs have to say about that. So I'm going to let you tune into this clip here.
Cool.
And get their take.
About leaving Silicon Valley to go to other places like Texas or Miami, and I'm interested in what you guys think. Like, what does that mean for the future of Silicon Valley? And if either of you could start, if we're, I guess, in the shoes of a college student and we're about to start your career, like in a couple months, at first job out of college, like where geographically would you go? Yeah, Chamath, we can start with you.
Honestly, I would still come to the Valley. I think that all of this is much ado about nothing in many ways. I just think that people are spending an enormous amount of time, talking about where they're going to zoom into meetings of engineers in Silicon Valley from. So I just think the whole thing's a fucking joke. It's not. This is all window dressing. Look, at the end of the day, this has been the heartbeat. It will change over time. But I remember the first day I got here, this kid from Canada, and I was in Silicon Valley for the first time, and I was like, wow, I'm here. This is it. And I've told this story before, but I was driving on the 101. This is right before the 101 highway. This is right before the internet bubble burst, and Forbes had bought a huge ad as soon as you entered Menlo Park that said high octane capitalism ahead. It's the craziest things you remember 20 some odd years later. But this is the place. The people are incredibly special. I think San Francisco may have lost its way a little bit, but people in the Valley have always been kind of grinding on interesting things. The other, there'll always be other places to go, but I wouldn't worry about that decision. I would just try to get here, find some interesting people, work at an interesting company, learn, and then take some risks. But I wouldn't be running to some of these places just because you're going to be one of the very few, and you're almost there to prove a point, which I just think misses the mark.
Yeah, I would agree completely with Chamath. In fact, it was in 2005 or so that Larry Ellison said innovation is dead. I don't know how many people remember that. And so when Oracle decided to move its headquarters from Silicon Valley, my tweet was, I'm glad to see it because it makes room for newer, younger, more innovative minds than an old ossified company like Oracle. So we do need to make room for newer people, and I'm sort of glad the phenomena is happening. It makes room for all of you to come here. Look, most of the learning you do will be from friends, from acquaintances, from company. It won't be formal meetings over Zoom. It'll be the community you live in, the talks you can go to, the Stanford professor or whoever you can listen to, or the entrepreneur. And that activity is still in the Valley more so than other places. I like to say Silicon Valley isn't a place, but it's a culture, it's a permissive culture. And it's a culture where if you're a senior executive at a big company, it's generally a bad thing. And if you're a young, scrappy entrepreneur, it's a good thing, socially speaking. And that culture can be duplicated in other places and starting to happen.
So he then goes about to say like potential areas like in Shanghai, other places like that. But I wanted people to hear that because a lot of people are somewhat forgetting like what makes the Bay Area so special. Now, if you aren't in these professions or you're not in these industries, then yes, it becomes an option for you to choose wherever you want to go. But the beauty is that network effect and the randomness of meeting all sorts of wonderful people. And that's actually one of the main things I absolutely love about my job. I mean, I get to meet people in all different skill sets, in all different backgrounds, whether it's people in biotech, whether it's people in network security, whether it's people in big tech, whether it's data scientists. It's absolutely incredible. So it is something very important for people that are thinking about moving away. Now, then again, a lot of people may be thinking about moving away temporarily until things get back to normal because we don't get that kind of collaboration at this time. But something to be mindful of. It will be interesting to see how this plays out. But, like what they said, I mean, fortunately, a lot of these older companies, if they decide to move out, it's good. It opens up a ton more space, a lot more opportunities. They're not squatting on their space. And it brings wonderful chances for new ventures. So it's going to be interesting to see. And in biotech and that area altogether will likely be a prime spot to take over their campus. All right, let's talk about the next thing. Potential impact of Biden's $15,000 home buyer tax credit. So some people may be aware, others have not. I mean, I think this is going to be pretty interesting to see what happens. I mean, it is still in the works. It is not a guarantee that this will come into play. But if you think it's competitive right now in a lot of popular spots that are great for first-time buyers, I mean, imagine if you had another stimulus on top of that. I think this also, it's unfortunate, but Biden's kind of, not just Biden, but in general of the U.S., they're not trying to figure out the root cause of things. This will only just increase prices because there'll just be more buyers on the table that were not there before. So it's a very big stimulant. But the biggest challenge right now is not the demand side. The demand, as you may see through all these reports, is very, very strong. It's about the supply side. So it's going to be interesting to see how this impacts things. I don't think it will impact the Bay Area as much. It will impact the places a little bit further out of the Bay Area. So like places like Contra Costa County, places like Tracy, Mountain House. I went to a few properties out there for some clients. Man, it is very competitive out there. I mean, all new construction is sold out. There is nothing left to buy. So I would suspect a pretty big price jump. And a lot of it is selling way faster than expected, or it has been way faster than expected. So there's not much new construction coming down the line for some period, because there's going to be this gap period that needs to happen. So what does this mean? It's going to just push up prices in a lot of these places, especially places that have like 3% down options. So something to be mindful of. And while it's going to be helpful for people as a tax credit, the result may be a higher price anyways. So the question is, do you want to get ahead of this rush of people coming in? Something just to be mindful of. Do you want to take it on the front or take it on the back end? Is the way to think about the price of credit versus what may likely happen. 2020 home sales hit highest level since 2006. Median prices increased in every region over 2019. So this is something important. Existing home sales rose in December, and total home sales 2020 reached the highest level in 13 years. What is this actually metric? This metric actually talks about, we always, I keep getting the comment, oh, we don't have enough inventory. The supply is very limited. It's because of COVID. We don't get to buy. There's not much to see. That's not the case. Otherwise, existing home sales would not be the highest level it has been in 13 years. It actually shows that the supply is actually higher. The amount of new listings on the market is higher than it has been in 13 years. That's what this data says. Now, what it also means is that the buy side, the demand side, has been stronger than it has been in 13 years as well. So that's the more important thing. It's not about the lack of new listings. It's about the strength of the buy side. So something to be mindful of. It's not the excuse, oh, listings are not coming on the market. That's not the case. You will see from the data yourself in a few more pages that I will show you that, but it's more the buy side is very strong. And especially as new construction is getting squeezed, I think it's going to be interesting to see what happens with home sales, what's going to happen with prices, because there's going to be even less properties to choose from. Something to be mindful of. Here's another one. Housing starts hit highest pace since 2006. So as I mentioned, new construction has been busier than ever. Like, it's incredible to see what's happening. In a lot of the areas, you'll see a lot of the housing starts, because this is a national level statistic. However, in the Bay Area, it's not the same story, because there's just only so much land that a builder can build on. So give you an idea, I just went to Communications Hill yesterday, and I have a few clients looking out there. And if you have not seen the video, do check out my video of the Communications Hills walkthrough of all the new construction out there. But even for themselves, they are at phase 2 out of phase 4. They are almost completely sold out. There's a long wait list for several of the properties right now. The Latitude, which is our condos, will have more options, but like their townhome and single family, pretty much all gone. They will have a few more. The next available move-ins will be sometime like in past June. So June, maybe looking in September timeframe. But once they finish those next ones, there is no more left in Communications Hill at all. It's going to be done for this phase 2 for at least next couple of years. And so something to be mindful of. This is not just, oh, whenever you feel you're ready, you can just go to new construction and they're going to have something waiting. Once it's sold out, it is sold out. Like, there is nothing left. You have to kind of wait for the next one, wherever that may be. But just look at it on the map and look at it from my market updates. Look at it from the website that I have, related to new construction. You can find it on my homepage below. There's just not a whole lot of options to choose from, at least in the core Bay Area. Even in Tracy, some are completely sold out, as in there's nothing left. Like, you can't reserve something even if you wanted to. So be mindful of that. If you wanted to wait, be in mind as well, even if you wanted to get in, it's not like you can even move in now anyways. You need to be on the wait list. To be on the wait list, you need to get pre-approved. The earliest move-in for a lot of these now is like basically 6 months out. So it's not like you would move in right now anyways, but you do need to make your decision, pretty quickly. Some other relevant news: Peninsula vaccine maker lands lease at big Alexandria project. Some of you may have seen this particular building. If you go drive by 101, you will see this. I've always wondered what this large space is because it's been building for some time. And it's the Alexandria District for Science and Technology. And it looks like as early as next month, people can start moving in. And there's actually at least 4 biotech companies within this facility. It looks absolutely incredible and beautiful on the outside. And it was being in construction for a while. But it's, as you can see, more than 70% of the space has already been leased before even move-in. So you can see the life science space is in like really high demand for those types of units because we don't have any of those. That is the current frontier. That is the next frontier, especially here in the Bay Area. It's not going to be necessarily just big tech or just tech in general. It's going to be biotech in the life sciences space. In the last forecast, for some reason this didn't get updated. Do this real quick. The last forecast is Zillow expects another record year for home sales. Well, so Zillow expects another record year. Zillow predicts a 21% increase in home sales, the most recorded since 2005. So it's funny when it comes to the data of Zillow. People ask me a lot about the Zillow estimate or Redfin estimate or Realtor.com estimate. They are general estimates. They are very helpful for people that are not looking at the market, on a daily basis or on a weekly basis. If you haven't seen the value of a home in the last, 5 years, it's good to know a general ballpark. It is plus or minus 10% of the value of your home today, but it's better than not knowing, is it worth $1 million or worth $2 million or worth 800,000? You can at least see what the actual general number is. But it is also interesting to see that they are predicting such a strong and another record year. I suspect that as well. I think a lot of things have been a surprise of how things have been. I think a lot of people were caught off guard, especially when it comes to construction, as I talked about previously. So something to be mindful of. I think things will be pretty intense this year, and it has already played out so far. So one famous line is, if you want stability in the economy, because you think COVID is going to be a hurt to the economy, then be ready to pay the stability prices. And so it's very important to understand, how is your situation different than others? If you were a small business owner, I think you're in a different position than if you're somebody working in tech, which is quite frankly one of the strongest and most stable, jobs that there are right now. So it is important to be mindful of that, of the scenario, and to plan accordingly. Now, I'm happy to help whenever the time is right, but be ready to pay higher prices if things truly are more stable. So that gives you a quick update related to the market updates. Let's talk about the actual data itself so you can see for yourself what is happening across the Bay Area in different counties. So let's talk about San Mateo County first. San Mateo County, of the last week, a little bit of a reduction of new listings. So the previous week, because of the long weekend, we had a little bit more listing, 167. Now we're back at 143. If you compare this to pre-shelter levels, we're actually pretty close to that level, maybe a little bit lower, but not too far off. A pretty healthy amount, much more than the last couple of weeks, certainly the last couple of months. Total contingent pending, though, is increased, 171. Here are the median prices. You can see that in the San Mateo County, which is kind of unique for most areas, it's been relatively flat for prices. It really depends on the area as to what, where things have gone. But if you look at condos and townhomes, it has been a decline in prices since the beginning of ever since the shelter in place happened. So something to be mindful of. If you are one of those individuals that wish that they were able to get into San Mateo County, this is actually one of the few markets that it is still competitive. Things still move quickly, as you can see through the velocity here, but the prices have not been aggressive like many places that you may know. Let's take a look at Santa Clara County. Santa Clara County, 375 new listings this week, 358 contingent pending. So it's absorbing very quickly, as you can see, but it's not the imbalance that it was in the past. When it comes to prices, though, prices have increased, although a little bit I mean, slightly. So it also does depend on the area as well. So like North San Jose and along with like Milpitas is very competitive today. We are seeing record prices, but other areas not so much. Some areas are a little bit flatter. So like a Mountain View, Sunnyvale, it's a lot of competition, a lot of bidders, but we're not seeing a crazy jump. So a lot of this is fairly predictable, as you can see on the median prices. Condos, townhome, a little bit different story than the other one, than San Mateo County. Slight increase throughout the year. Let's take a look at Alameda County. Alameda County a little bit different. You can see that the change. It's substantial versus the other counties we looked at previously. If you compare this to the same time last year, you're probably looking at about 10 to 15% increase over the last year. So Alameda has certainly been very popular. There are certain properties that are setting records. So in general, whether you're looking in like the Nobe area of kind of the Berkeley, Oakland area, you are seeing a lot of competition. It is breaking records there. If you are looking at like a Danville, Pleasanton, you are also tend to be breaking records there. So is this something to be mindful of? They are pushing new highs. Now you see condos, townhomes, different story. Relatively flat, nothing too crazy here. Let's look at Contra Costa County. Contra Costa County actually has been, of the 4 so far that I just covered, some of the biggest increases that there has been. If you compare this to like the April-May timeframe, which is less than a year ago, never mind the February timeframe. I mean, if you compare it against February 2020, this is a 20+% increase in 1 year. But things have been a little bit more consistent over the last couple of months. So things have somewhat stabilized. It will be interesting to see if this continues to move forward or if it was just that initial push. So something to be mindful of Contra Costa County when it comes to single family. Condos and townhomes, slight increase as well throughout the year. Let's take a look at San Francisco. So one of the things that has happened with the MLS is finally there's been a merger, in a sense that we all have access to the data that we didn't actually have as much detailed access as before. So now I'm able to post these charts so you can see for yourself. When it comes to single family in San Francisco, prices, as you can see, has been relatively flat through the year. Nothing too crazy, but things do move quickly, so something to be mindful of. Condos, though, and townhomes, completely different story. You can see it's been a decline, a decline of about 10% decline since of last year. So something to be mindful of here. Now, I do have several clients that are now looking to get into the market. So it is interesting to see that people are coming back into the market. I think a lot of people say, look, this is a very, very rare time, which it is, to be able to buy something at a discount in San Francisco of all places. So keep that in mind as you shop. Like, you have low interest rates, which have increased a little bit, but also you have very low prices relative to what it has been in the past. So this may be a good time if you ever want to live, either buy an investment property in San Francisco. And the last thing I'll cover is Marin County. So Marin County, for single family, has been relatively flat throughout the year. It had an initial increase, as you can see, pretty substantially in the towards the fall season, but now it has kind of leveled off to about the year. I think a lot of it may have been a dash from individuals from San Francisco, but now it's cooled off. Condos and townhomes, there's just not a lot in that area anyways. As you can see, there's only 534 total out of 12 months, but this has been what's going on there. So I hope this has all been very helpful. Every week I go over the market data so that you can see for yourself what is actually happening. Of course, if you or anyone you know is considering to buy, sell, or invest in the Bay Area, I hope this video was helpful. Do share it with your friends, or if you want to have a conversation with myself, I would love to help you. I must have helped at least 10 families buy and sell a house through these videos alone. It's been incredible, and there's already another 10 that I'm actively working with. So I appreciate all the support. I'm glad to be able to help all of you guys. And if I don't talk to you, I will see you at the next one. Bye now.